So you know how I feel?
How?
I feel stupendous.
Welcome to Cranking It, yeah, we cranking it. Welcome to Cranking It, yeah, we cranking it.
On a rainy day in June, my dad joined me once again on my Pan American bicycle ride. Together, we rode through the cloudy hills of central Costa Rica. Some of the hills were steep enough that my dad preferred to walk. I cranked up them, but it wasn't much faster. The next day, we rode along the banks of Lake Arenal and around the base of Arenal volcano. Then, for the next couple days, we began the long ascent into the mountains. Even though the days were cloudy, they remained hot and muggy, and climbing was a sweaty struggle.
That's good.
But, as I like to say, for every uphill, there's a downhill. After a pretty sweet ride back down the mountain, we arrived at the outskirts of San Jose. My dad got a box, packed up his bike, and then headed for the airport for his flight back home. Alone once again, I continued east, back up into the mountains.
Well, it's pretty rainy. I kind of knew this would happen, but I've got my rain gear. I know it's not going to get too cold. I am climbing a pretty steep, unpaved road though. So, as long as I can find somewhere sheltered to camp for the night, I should be fine. The rain has calmed down a bit. It's just a light pitter-patter at this time. The clouds have opened up. Got a nice little view. So yeah, it's been fine. It's been a great crank. I think I'm about to get to still a little rumbly up there, but I think I'm about to get to a bigger road and maybe a little restaurant there. So I might take a little break, a little respite from the rain, maybe even see if they want to let me camp. Because once again, I'm going into the mountains without a plan and trusting in people to take pity on me and let me camp under a roof. So, I think this is the restaurant that I saw on the map. It looks pretty closed, which I guess I could have figured. Still, it looks like the perfect place to camp, just under those roofs there. But it's got a gate, so I'm not gonna go through that. I'll keep looking. It's starting to get a little bit cold. I haven't been cranking so much. I stopped and talked to a guy, tried to get him to let me camp under one of his eaves, but he didn't seem to be into it. So I got some info from him though about possible camping places. He mentioned that this restaurant might have caretakers and that if I yell, maybe one will come out and might let me camp. So I'm gonna give that a shot. Hello? Hola? Hello? ¿Hay alguien en el restaurante? Hello? I don't know why I sound like that. Yeah, it looks pretty dead. Alright. I'm gonna investigate some plan Bs here. So I was pretty much stopping at every house that I saw with an open door and asking if there was any place I could stay. And eventually a guy recommended that I go to the next town, which is a bit bigger. So that's what I did. Went to the Red Cross, and they didn't have any room, but they recommended that I come to the church. So that's where I am now. I'm in a little salon off the side of the main church. They're about to have mass. But yeah, I got this place to myself. They even gave me soap and a toothbrush. There's bathrooms back there, and there's even a shower. So yeah, pretty good deal. I am kind of cold though. It's the first time I've been cold in a while. I might have been a little bit reckless doing what I did, assuming there would be a restaurant or that the restaurant would be open. I think I'll need to be a bit more careful going forward.
The next day, I continued to climb. I was headed up to another high pass. On the map, the area was called Quetzal National Park, but as I ascended, it began to rain, and I learned it had another name, El Cerro de la Muerte. The next day, the sun came out once again, and I was treated to a beautiful, steep descent all the way down to the coast. It's really amazing how quickly a ride can go from a depressing and desperate crank up a long, cold hill to a lovely tour through beautiful vistas and quaint villages. I was able to dry out my shoes and relax and chat with locals outside of roadside stores. The kilometers seemed to just fly by, and it really felt like all the work that I'd put into all that climbing was finally paying off. Once I reached the coast, I headed east, into Panama, the final country in Central America. Of course, the rain is never far away in the tropics, and dark clouds are always a harbinger of storms.
Well, I guess I'm sleeping at a gas station tonight. I ain't going back out there on that. You seeing this?
Most gas stations, churches, and fire stations I stayed in had hosted cyclists in the past. I certainly wasn't the first to be in this position. As the land narrowed, my route options became more limited, so I ended up riding the Pan American Highway a little more than I would have liked. Still, I managed to find a couple of alternate routes, one along the coast, where the jungle blended with the sea along river mouths and a network of islands. If it was even possible, the jungle got even denser here on the Panama coast. Later, I took a detour up to the town of El Valle, which is located within the caldera of an extinct volcano. After spending the night in a fire station in the volcano, I rode back down to the highway and headed to the capital, Panama City. The Pan American Highway got more crowded the closer I got to the city, but without any alternatives, I just had to put my head down and crank it out. Finally, I arrived in Panama City, where I am now, taking a few days to work on this video and prepare for my trip to Colombia. There are no roads between Panama and Colombia, so the next part of my ride will be a little tricky. Basically, I'm going to have to take a series of local motorboats along the coast until I reach the part of Colombia with roads that I can use to continue riding south.
Well, there you go. That's episode 10. Hard to believe I've already done 10 episodes of this thing. And now that it's mid-July that I'm recording this, I've been on the road for over a year. Crazy how time flies. I think I'm well past the halfway point of this trip, though. At least I hope. I think it was back in Mexico or maybe Guatemala. I talked about it a little bit in episode 7. But now that I'm here in Panama City, I'm right by the canal. This definitely feels like a transition to the next phase of the journey. Headed to South America next. It's going to be a long, hopefully simple boat ride down to Colombia. Hopefully that goes well. I guess you'll have to wait for next episode to find out. But again, thank you so much for watching, and a big thank you to my supporters on Patreon, and especially my Crank Tier supporters, Judy Friesem, Dan Phillips, Graham Mary Mickle, Kate and Mike Glasser, Jane Hilton, JK, Michael Barker, and Marion Hinman. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can check out the Patreon, patreon.com/crankinit, or just hit the like and subscribe buttons. That really helps keep the channel growing, and helps me keep up my energy for making these videos. So thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode.